Look at the sheer physical force required here. India is urbanizing faster than almost any country on Earth, and every new skyscraper, hospital, and apartment block begins with an insatiable demand for raw materials. To feed this construction boom, the country manufactures roughly 260 billion bricks every single year. That staggering volume makes India the second largest brick producer in the world. When you look at the asset column of this industry's balance sheet, the scale is massive. We are looking at an economic engine generating over $14 billion in annual sales and single-handedly driving 2% of the nation's entire GDP. The modern Indian metropolis is quite literally and economically being built on the back of the humble burnt clay brick. And that demand is only accelerating. By 2037, the country's annual need for bricks is projected to nearly triple, hitting almost 800 billion. To hit those projections, the sector relies on an enormous workforce. Right now, 10 million people are employed just to keep the kilns burning. But when you track how these materials actually move, the futuristic economic projections clash with an incredibly analog reality. The methodology on the ground relies heavily on extreme physical molding and transport by bicycle or on foot. This 21st century economic miracle is precariously balanced on a 19th century system of grueling manual labor. But a true audit requires checking the liabilities too. The primary culprit dragging down this ledger is the predominant technology used to bake the clay, the archaic fixed chimney Bull's Trench kiln, or FCBTK. These operations consume between 700 and 750 million tons of clay annually. That is essentially the nation's fertile topsoil being scraped away and baked into building blocks. Then there is the fuel. Firing those kilns burns through 35 million tons of coal each year, which directly adds an expanding cloud of roughly 65 million tons of CO2 to the atmosphere. You can see the immediate local impact pouring out of these smokestacks. In the national capital region surrounding Delhi, brick kilns are responsible for up to 10% of the area's toxic air pollution. That localized soot contributes directly to a severe national health crisis. Across India, outdoor air pollution is linked to roughly 627,000 premature deaths. Severely compromised respiratory health and massive carbon output are the true costs of this development, extending far beyond the ledger of rupees. Keeping the price of those bricks artificially low requires extracting value from somewhere else. In this sector, that deficit is often made up by the workers themselves. The industry relies heavily on an unorganized migrant workforce. These laborers endure highly hazardous conditions, carrying immense physical loads through thick dust while earning incredibly low wages. And looking deeper into the labor records reveals an even darker reality. There is a systemic, widespread presence of child labor and debt bondage tying entire families to the kilns. The impressive profits generated by the sector are effectively subsidized by deep human exploitation and severe environmental degradation. There is a common assumption that a developing nation must choose between slowing its economic growth or destroying its environment. The data here suggests otherwise. Look at the schematic comparing two kiln designs. The solution is transitioning to a zigzag kiln. By forcing air through a meandering path, heat disperses more evenly. This drastically increases fuel efficiency and reduces particulate matter released into the air. And this is where the financial ledger reconciles. This relatively modest technological upgrade generates a massive internal rate of return for the kiln owners, between 100 and 250%. Additionally, new policies mandating the use of fly ash, a waste product from power plants, to manufacture bricks are starting to reduce the industry's heavy reliance on raw topsoil. In this sector, fixing the environmental problem doesn't drain capital. It actually supercharges the industry's economic output. The policy pipeline is already forcing this shift. Regions like Delhi NCR have started implementing mandatory regulations, requiring operations to convert to these cleaner technologies if they want to stay in business. Modernizing these kilns functions as both an urgent environmental rescue mission and a lucrative economic evolution. If India can successfully modernize its oldest, most basic building block, it proves that a nation can build its future without choking its present.